I'm sorry. You mean to tell me not only that the return of night was your doing, but that you hail from another world as well?
Everything we told you, of the source, the shards, the 7 umbral calamities, all of it is true. I realize how fantastical it sounds, and I would not blame you for doubting our testimony. But given your expertise, you must surely have noted the peculiar nature of their souls.
Any other time and I would have dismissed your stories as balderdash and flummery. But upon closer inspection, 'tis plain their souls are far denser than is normal, and that they do not possess true bodies. Save you. Your body is your own. And your soul is the densest of them all.
As I said before, were it not for their heroism, the skies over Norvrant would still be awash with light, the realm yet at the mercy of Vorthri and the Sin Eaters. After all they have done for our home, seeing them safely back to their own, it seems the very least we can do.
Your tale is intriguing. Yes, very intriguing indeed. Simply to hear it is fitting payment in itself. As for your friends, I can but agree. Their valorous deeds on behalf of Norvrant are deserving of recognition, of their own fitting payment.
You will help us then?
I will. I would see my knowledge put to good use for a change. I do have one condition, however. I am not the spry young Numo I once was. As such, I will require assistance in my fieldwork and testing.
It would be our pleasure. We'll be laboring for our own benefit after all.
Good. And with that, welcome back to Final Fantasy XIV. And yeah, back in the Crystal Tower, where maybe we can begin on making a solution here. Did you happen to notice the magic broom strewn about the Grand Cosmos? Uncanny. Beq Lug has a fine eye, but we have to begin. I rather think the XIV was right to call on them. I sometimes forget we are not truly here in the first. It would be good to be whole again. Fortunate for us, Beq Lug is of a mind to see you and your fellow Science justly compensated for your efforts. Spun quite a tale, but tell me, have you given any thought as to how you might return to your world? White Aura's site, you say? An intriguing proposition, but one which fails to account for the present state of your souls. They have become highly charged, likely as a consequence of having maintained tangible form for so long. In such an energetic, unstable state, there's no telling what may happen to their souls within the Aura site. They could very well become immutable to transference, never to be restored to their bodies. Then, would it be possible to force our souls into a state of dormancy prior to transference? In theory, yes, but the soul is not a candle to be snuffed out and relit on a whim. Well, that sounds ominous. What exactly would rendering our souls dormant entail? In order to maintain a corporeal form, your souls constantly draw aether from your surroundings. This process must be halted, and the resulting surfeit of aether removed. Your minds would ultimately be separated from these four bodies of yours, rendering you incapable of interacting with the world around you. A cruel fate under normal circumstances, but one which will be rectified upon your return home. Leaving lifeless husks, like those poor souls in the inner journey's head, corrupted by the sin eaters, were aether made stagnant by the light. Corrupted? Stagnant? Might I see these unfortunate individuals? Why? Do you think you might be able to help them? I might, or might not, but I shan't know for sure until I've seen their condition firsthand. Then I would be glad to show you to them, on the understanding that you won't do anything which might increase their suffering. It was my faith in men I lost, not my compassion. Well, I see no need for all of us to accompany you. While you escort our guests to the inn, I will assist Urianger in creating the requisite oversight. I believe my talents would be better applied to that endeavor as well. Might I leave the three of you to assist Beq Lug as necessary? Let us make for Amarang then. Having broken Light's stranglehold on the first, I would like to believe they will one day recover, yet I fear that day may not come soon. Beq Lug told me they wished to meet the worst afflicted. Alwek. There are times when I swear there's something he wants to tell me, if only he could form the words. So this is Halric, is it? Yes, his etheric balance leans perilously toward the light. Toward stasis. What do you suppose will happen to him? Not too bright, are you, boy? The same as all poor souls corrupted by light. You will become a sin-eater. You don't know that? We've defeated the wardens and banished the light from the night sky. Halric was completely unresponsive before, but now? And perhaps there's yet hope. If I may, there's a treatment I wish to administer to the patients. What sort of treatment? In the course of my studies of the soul, I once created a tonic which could temporarily stimulate the aether in one's body. After some refinement, it came to be used by the Knights of Verbert. Then, for far darker purposes. Lest it fall into the wrong hands, I swore never again to make it. But for their sakes, I will break that oath. It's not like to reverse the stagnation, mind you, but it should offer some measure of relief. Treat the patients with soul tonic. No effect. Is this warmth I feel in my chest? I feel warm. My legs, they don't feel as heavy. So not a universal success, but it seemed to help somewhat. Now then, have you noted any change in the patients? A notable rise in body temperature and increased motor function, in most of the patients at least. The more severely afflicted show no response. As I feared then. 'Tis true that with the restoration of night, the corrupting influence of light will no longer grow, and yes, their bodies will naturally return to equilibrium given time. But this holds true only for their corporeal ether. Their incorporeal ether, that is that of a soul, is not so easily mended. Which is why those in the later stages of corruption, like Huldrick, appear unaffected by your tonic. Precisely. The boy's soul is too far gone, his mind held together by the finest of strands. There is a chance he may one day recover, of course, but it could take years, decades even. By the gods, he could wake to find himself an old man. A fine reward for his persistence, the opportunity to mourn the life he never had the chance to live. No, there must be something we can do. Look, I realize this is not why we petitioned your aid, but do you think it's possible we can find a way to hasten their recovery? Maybe. Nor do I think it impossible that in treating them we might learn something of relevance to your own predicament. Corporeal and incorporeal ether. I confess I've never had cause to make the distinction. Did they just say what I think they said? Might there really be a way to help Ulrich and the others? And help ourselves in the process? I suspect the Crystal Exarch has told you of my past, that I was once a mage of a royal court of Verbert, and that Soulcraft was my field of study. The tonic you administered to the patients here is one of the fruits of my labors. I hope to do great things for the kingdom. But in the end, my knowledge brought only suffering, a plague the like of which none had ever seen. In the hands of unscrupulous man, what should have been my greatest triumph became my greatest shame. At least the warriors of light brought those responsible to justice. Aye, that they did. I shudder to think what might have happened had they not. But let us return to the task at hand, finding a means by which we might revitalize these people's incorporeal ether. Do you think it can be done? Were the sky still ablaze with primordial light, I would call it an exercise in futility. But now? Now we may have a chance. The method I have in mind will entail the conjuring of a familiar. They are able to amplify the energies poured into them, making the perfect conduit for the ether revitalizing magic we will ultimately employ. If you're about to launch into a lengthy explanation of the metaphysics of your plan, don't bother. I'd rather get on with doing whatever it is that needs to be done, if it's all the same to you. Whatever reagent must be procured or spells invoked, I'll do it. I admire your spirit. Very well, your first task will be to gather the necessary materials. The purest of water and finest of clays, as well as a fey lantern brimming with pixie magic. If you're convinced the resulting familiar could help for patients, fine. Alpha Nova water and clay will be simple enough, but I think we know what we'll have to do to get the lantern. You don't mean... The pixies took quite a liking to us before. If we humor them with our company, I'm sure they'll be willing to help us. Fine, we'll pay a visit to Ilmek, though I never thought you'd be the one to suggest going back there. I'm impressed you've been there at all, let alone befriended the Fey folk. Oh, while you're about it, seek out the Numu of Annie. They will be able to supply you with water suitable for our needs. Right, let's get this over with, shall we? There still remains the matter of the clay. Might I prevail upon you to find it? Clay from Amaring would likely be best. Know you of anyone who might be able to assist us? The miners at Twine, maybe? Ah, yes. They will be able to point you in the right direction, I'm sure. While you and the twins are occupied, I will see if there's aught else I can learn of the stagnation which afflicts the people here. I mean, I realize that most of the people probably have at least heard of the Numu, but having seen one for themselves, I don't think many people have that. Then again, I guess people are either too bad or too busy to, well, look. Hey, Magnus. Serenia. Well, what a coincidence. You've come at a good time. We've just a moment finished repairing the Talos and trolley you lot took to Nabatha Rang. The trolley was no trouble, but the Talos would have been another matter had we not had the visit from Master Chai. He offered us a share of the leftover building materials from Daedalus Stoneworks, as well as a few trade secrets to help us along. Clever man, that Chinas. He seemed pretty keen on the ideas I had for putting the giant Talos to work. Like a giant trolley, but Magnus still refused to see all the good we could do with it. You're entitled to your dreams, Jarek, but that doesn't mean you can go harassing our guests with them. Master Chai was just being polite. And something tells me Serenia didn't come all this way to talk about trolleys. What is it you need, friend? Pure clay. I see, and this familiar requires clay from Amareng. Well, look no further. If anyone can find you some quality clay, it's us. Saying that, it isn't exactly a common commodity nowadays. But there must be some lurking somewhere or other waiting to be dug up. If I'm not mistaken, there was a time when they used to take clay from Mount Biran mines to make adobe bricks. The place is swarming with coyotes now, but if you're after some good stuff, you could do worse than look there. I found some clay. Leave me in be. Okay. Well, we heard there's coyotes here, so. Back to Beq Lug. And those two are back already, okay. That had better be the only thing we need from the pixies. If I have to endure one more prank, so help me gods. The pixies were constantly confusing me with Alize. And just, I assume, I mean, it's not as if we look that much alike. We don't look that much alike, do we? The twins have returned, and in one piece at that. I was convinced the pixies would turn at least one of them into a garden ornament. But no. You have a clay, I take it? Wonderful. We need but combine the clay and water, then heat the mixture with a fairy lantern. After that, it will be a simple matter of setting upon a suitable form and performing the necessary incantation. Beq Lug, I have a question. In the event that we have need of this spell and you weren't around, would it be possible for another to perform the incantation? Assuming they possess the requisite skill, yes. Alric and the others have suffered so much, and that's what to do everything in my power to save them. If there's a chance the spell could do that, I would be the one to invoke it. Mayhap you should be the one to do it, so... A deep understanding of a subject's physical state, combined with a strong desire to help them, can drastically increase the magic's effect. And you are plainly more familiar with these people than I. I dare say there are few in all of Northrend more dedicated to finding a cure. Is that not so, Serenia? She's a very best woman for the job. I give it my all for Halwick, for Tesleen. And we are all of a mind on the matter. Alize shall be one to conjure the familiar.
Let us begin. I trust you've prepared the clay? Very good. Now, I would have you sculpt for me a porksy. Plump, with floppy ears and a short curly tail.
A porksy? I think I know what you mean. There we are. How's that?
Terrible.
Well, it is certainly creative. There's no denying that.
Yes, I'm no artist. Very funny.
But Alphino's an artist.
Pay him no mind, child. Though it may look like a grotesque parody of reality, it is what the invoker believes that matters.
You're not helping.
But I speak the truth. If successful, this incantation will turn imagination into reality. Which is why the only thing of import is what you believe this figure embodies. You must focus. Hold the Porksy's image steady in your mind's eye. Now then, as I taught you, relax and allow your energies to flow.
With flesh of clay I bid thee rise, on wings of dreams to touch the skies. What once was idle fantasy, I call forth to reality.
Not bad for a first attempt. Now, let us see what can be done for young Halric. Through the operation of the magics you invoked to animate this familiar, it is now replete with the energies required to stir the boy's soul. You need but give it a name, and it will do as your heart desires.
A name. All right, I've decided. Now. Go, Angelo!
Mother... I...
Angelo. Like the dog from Final Fantasy VIII, huh? By the 12th, but it was only for a moment he spoke, and there may yet be hope for these people. The girl's resolve is quite impressive. One might almost think she drew strength from another. Mother... How is he, Beq Lug? Did it work? I believe it did. You and your fledgling familiar have done well. If my eyes do not deceive, a hint of color has returned to his soul. Gods, I would jump for joy if I weren't so exhausted. We're so close, Halric. As you are even now in the process of discovering, the magic asks much of the invoker. What you may not have realized is that the same is also true of the subject. As such, we must proceed with caution. However, with further treatment, I have the utmost confidence the boy will make a full recovery. Observing the reanimation of his stagnant soul has been most enlightening. I will need time to put my fears to the proof, but I believe I can fashion a spell to produce the opposite effect. That is, to induce stagnation, thus enabling our self-transport back to the source via Oracite. A thought occurred to me about this treatment. Beq Lug said that the soul is rendered dormant, the mind is separated from the body, that a person becomes incapable of interacting with the world around them. Does that not sound a lot like some of the tempered back in the source? Not really. It's the fate of most tempered to become slaves to primals, save in a handful of cases, or am I missing something? If I can master this technique, the art of revitalizing the soul, I know of at least one in the source who could desperately use such treatment. Gabu. Exactly. His condition is uncannily similar to Halwig's, is it not? The only difference being that his soul was suffused with earth aspected aether instead of light. It follows that if his soul is subject to a similar kind of stagnation, there may be a chance we can save him, right? Forgive me, but who is this Gabu fellow of whom you speak? I see. His condition does sound similar, yet there is much and more about the soul that remains unknown even to me. I say this not to discourage you, you understand, but to remind you that this is a delicate work we do here. Work requiring patience. Of course, and as long as there's hope for the patients here, I will devote whatever time is needed to see this through. But I refuse to spend that time in idleness. If it's all the same to you, I'd like to stay here with Angelo and continue with her treatment. The two of you should return to the Crystarium with Beq Lug and see if you can't make some headways with their newly posited theories. I would tell you to rest first, but I see you're not to be convinced. Ah, the fire of youth. Let us return to the Crystarium then. Finally, I found you! Kaishia? Kaishia, what are you doing all the way out here? There's trouble back in Yulmore. Lady Chai's beside herself, sighing, pacing the whole lot. Near enough backed me to go and find you. Sighing and pacing, you say? Must be urgent. I will take it I will be returning to the Crystarium alone. Go then. It's not as if I have anything for you to do. Thank you, Beq Lug. Sorry for bothering and all that, but she says the future of Yulmore is at stake. Whatever could be so urgent for Lady Chai to summon us thus? The future of Yulmore is at stake, is it? Well, do for them what you can, but keep an eye on Alphinaud, would you? See to it he doesn't involve himself more than necessary. Okay, but I end this episode here, and we look after Yulmore next time. Until then, I'm Mace, and don't get lost.